All right, hello and welcome. So today is workbook lesson number 12. So 11 was my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. We kind of just add one little element here. So a little element we add is that I am upset because I see a meaningless world. And this upset is part of the process itself. So these people here that are experiencing the world, they have they kind of fight the same demons over and over again, but they're just dressed in different clothes. And it's kind of, you'll become aware of it, that you're doing the same battle and over again. And when you do, that's a good sign that you're making progress. As soon as you're aware of that, then it's likely going to stop, at least that one part of it, whatever your perceived thing that makes you angry. So once you do, it's a really big step. So that'd be something to be very proud of. So let's take a look at a quote in order to kind of help this make sense. So fear is the only true enemy, born of ignorance and the parent of anger and fear. And I don't know who Edward Albert is at all. I think he's an actor, but this is dead on. So I don't know who he was, but he obviously had a lot more depth than we give him credit for, because there's a lot here. So first of all, fear is the only true enemy. And there's also a couple other really famous books that had some statements similar to this. Life of Pi, which is a very good book, talked about the only being the true enemy, only being fear. So in the situation of the picture, what was underneath this, the fearful state is in the minds of each of those people, but more importantly is in this mind, the collective conscious mind. I don't want to draw it over top of our writing here, because I want to talk about each of these things. But that first mirror. So this is what is the fearful thing that is going to keep replicating fear into the world and into the people that are in the world as well. So it says it's born of ignorance, and that is also very telling. So that element of itself, the reason why it's upset is because it is ignoring the truth, and it does know the truth, at least at some level, some very subtle level, but there's a part of it that knows it completely. So that'll be something important to keep in mind as we go. It is the parent, so comes before, of anger and hate. So we have upset, just like anger, right? Anger and hate of all those little people in the situation justifies the collective mind's perception of the world, because they are upset, they are angry, they are hateful for what they see. And we have positives, but we also have negatives, and these things balance out. But it's important that we see the positive and the negative as the same in a way, because we define one with the other one as, obviously a main precept of Buddhism, if you follow Buddhism at all. So the best way I think to think about this is a young child playing, and it is really a fascinating process watching a child play. Let's think about this as far as our projection again. So the little girl is kind of like, in this situation, is somewhat similar to the collective conscious, is that main first mirror. And she's fearful of the world. Of course, she's just playing, but think of the situation she usually comes up with here. So this princess or whatever else has some form of power, and the kid knows that there's things in the world that she should be scared of and that she is scared of. I mean, most kids are pretty fearful, and I think most adults are even more fearful maybe. But kids are as well, and they try to pacify this fear by having characters such as this, which maybe she had magical powers, or she had the ability or strength to defend herself from evil. So there's this evil element that's going towards her, and she just overcomes it. So when this character overcomes the evil, it makes her feel safe. And this process is just kind of a way of mentally exercising with these toys, and the Course uses that term often, that the world is like these toys that we play with, these perceptual toys that we kind of entertain ourselves with and justify our own position in our mind and what we believe. So the kid is doing the exact same thing. And I really I suggest to most people to, if you have kids, just watch them, and you'll, there's so much you can learn from a kid, because they're a little more they don't veil their fears as well as we do, and they really some of the things they do are quite primal base as far as what would be the actual reaction that we want to make, but we just can't make it because we're older and it wouldn't be socially acceptable anymore. So here's our actual lesson. So again, I am upset for seeing meaningless world. So this will hopefully, now that we read this, we'll kind of just say that it reiterates what I just said. The importance of this idea lies in the fact that it contains a correction for all major perceptual distortion. You think that what upsets you is a frightening world, a sad world, a violent world, or an insane world. And I think we've all called the world that at some time. All these attributes are given to it by you. The world is meaningless in itself. So just like that little girl that's playing with her doll, her whole scenario that she built up, and it may seem completely real to her, it's all meaningless. And keep in mind, we do the same thing when we dream. So whatever our fearful state is, I remember thinking about when I was a kid, I used to have these dreams of being in my underwear in social situations, and I think that's a very common dream for a lot of people, because we feel vulnerable in the world, and this is kind of a physical representation of vulnerability because you're trying to hide in a world. And I think that's why it's such a dominant theme, a trope of our dreams, is that you're trying to hide something from yourself, or of yourself, from the world. And it's kind of just a different way to look at the same thing. So for this one, step number 1, right here, eyes open, look around you. This time quite slowly, equal pace, and don't stop including things indeterminately. So this is just what we've been talking about before. So just going across the room, even keel, slow pace, just working your way across, and everything is equal. Everything is just, I mean, it's all images, right? So if you can kind of slowly grasp onto that concept, this shouldn't be as hard as it would have been for the very first week we did, or the very first day, I should say. As you look around, say to yourself, I think I see a fearful world, a dangerous world, a hostile world, a sad world, a wicked world, a crazy world, and so on, using whatever descriptive terms happen to occur to you. If terms which seem to be positive rather than negative occur to you, include them. For example, you might think of a good world or a satisfying world. If such terms occur to you, use them along with the rest. You may not understand why these nice adjectives belong in these exercises, but remember that a good world implies a bad one, and a satisfying world implies an unsatisfying one. So again, no judgment. Number 3, at the end of the practice period, add, I am upset because I see a meaningless world. What is meaningless is neither good or bad. The truth upsets you now, but when your words have been erased, you will see his. And that is the ultimate purpose of these exercises. What a powerful statement this is. So I think this relates a lot to the concept of having this holy grail. So a lot of people have talked about the grail image, and there's a lot of iconography of images like this sort of shape of a grail, and sometimes I've seen it like a moon too, and on top of somebody's head. And so this is, for example, this is one of the symbols for Hermes, is like this. So it's got the sort of this element, which is the moon element, and this element is supposed to represent the sun element, or gold, and this is supposed to represent silver. So these elements are together in Hermes, or if you'd like, Mercury. And I think what they mean by this, once you erase your words and see his, is that once your cup is emptied, then you allow it to be filled by God. I think it was, what is it, Avatar? Avatar talked about it's hard to fill a full cup, and I think that was actually just taken from some other writing too. It just kind of a little bit changed, but this is exactly what it's getting to the concept of, is just clearing out everything that you believed before, and then allowing it to be filled. So the Holy Grail, this is my own opinion, but the Holy Grail is representing this, I believe, is this sort of empty vessel, this sort of virginal kind of or outlook towards the world. So that's what I think its main caveat or main premise is. So today, 3 to 4 times today for about a minute long. If you feel strained, it can be shortened. But this is our lesson for today. And just a reminder, I prefer you read all these things yourselves too. I just take out the things that I think are the most valuable given what I've already given you. So this is just another a way of inquiring into it. So don't feel like this is the only thing you should use. Obviously use the book as well. All right. Hope you have a good day. Talk to you soon. Bye.